So good morning, everybody. Welcome to this fourth edition of the Global Review of Aid for Trade. The theme we will address over the next 3 days of what I hope and I expect to be a rich debate is that of connecting to value chains. And let me start with a phrase that you may not have heard before, the least connected countries. And I think this phrase encapsulates what Angel Goya and I are launching the new Aid for Trade at a Glance publication today. This joint publication asks two questions. One, how do we connect the least connected to international trade through value chains? And second, how can we use aid for trade to overcome the obstacles they face? But before I answer these questions, as per what appeared from the material we've collected, let me explain what I mean by the least connected countries. Who are the least connected? The term least connected countries was coined not by the WTO, but by the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union. Last year, ITU reported that mobile phone subscriptions had reached 6 billion. When you sign a contract for a smartphone, they don't ask for a degree in telecommunications or software engineering. What's smart is the phone. And the same is also true for value chains. You don't need to know all the intricacies of the engineering to be able to assemble a phone or to manufacture the plastic casing or to develop software apps. In short, a value chain offers many entry points for firms to connect to the worldwide trading web. Our trading system is increasingly one based on trading tasks, not trading final goods. You connect by being good at one task and then learning others, essentially moving up and between tasks. To join a production network, you do not need to be a latter-day Henry Ford to manufacture all the parts and components of your Model T under the same roof. What you do need to understand, though, is how Henry Ford transformed industrial processes, how he separated them into different functions on his assembly line. His commercial insight transformed car factories, and we can see today how this process has transformed global manufacturing and trade patterns over a century later. Today, 60% of trade is now in intermediate products, trade in parts and components. Now, some examples. Samoa produces automotive wire harnesses. Senegal is becoming a hub for Indian car assembly. Ford has added production facilities in Vietnam, India, Brazil to the factory in Detroit that built the Model T. Products are made in the world, no longer in country X or Y. Adam Smith's pin factory has gone viral. Now, in many ways, there is nothing new about this process. It's been percolating through the global economy since the days in which the GATT came into being and has accelerated since the WTO was created. What's new is their reach and their depth. driven by the transport and IT revolutions and the legal certainty afforded by the WTO legal architecture, production networks now stretch worldwide. It's not possible to fragment the production of a cow or a chicken, but with the tractor that plows the field and the refrigerated truck that transports the meat, you can. Agricultural research, indeed nearly all scientific research, is a team occupation conducted across different locations worldwide, exchanging data and results. The same value chain that brought refrigerated beef from South America to Europe in the 19th century are now penetrating the domestic markets of developing countries. Just think of the supermarket revolution in East Africa. Now, let's go back to the smartphone a moment. Is a smartphone a product which stems from a manufacturer or a service? The revenue stream from services is probably higher than from the sale of the physical device. For if you count the services component in the manufacturing process before you bought your phone, plus all the transport, plus the finance, plus design, plus retail services, that proportion grows still higher. And this is not an esoteric reflection. A message that emerges strongly from our joint monitoring survey with the OECD is that developing countries want to add value. They want to move up the value chain. And services are where much of the value lies. And this is equally true whether the product sold is oil and gas, copper, foodstuffs, or phones. The service dimension to the global economy is the real news story. And of course, services can also be consumed directly. The other WTO, the World Tourism Organization, will tell us how 1 billion business and private travelers represent 1 billion business opportunities. And as our connectivity revolution picks up speed, so our economies are changing too. Ethiopian farmers can now settle contracts with their phones. Mobile money has exploded across East Africa. Bangladesh is getting into business process outsourcing. Kenya is now the world's #1 user of mobile banking. IT systems have customs clearance times down to less than 10 minutes in some borders in Central America. And I can point to various places where these processes are taking hold, and other examples of where aid for trade was the sort of spark that lit the tinder. Now, we still live in a world where LDCs account for just over 1% of global trade, and where 1.1 billion live in absolute poverty. But this is a world in which those in absolute poverty as a share of the total population in developing countries fell from more than 40% to 20% in 20 years from 1990 to 2010. A reduction of almost 1 billion people. And at the time that trade barriers came down and WTO rules provided added certainty. A coincidence? Not to my mind. With the post-2015 agenda starting to take shape, I believe that we can now do more to keep ensuring trade plays a positive role in development. Our Aid for Trade monitoring survey points to a range of issues where the private sector, both in developed and developing countries, is telling us precisely where we can and should do more. The list we know. It's about access to business and trade finance. It's about the time it takes to complete border formalities. It's about more effective trade facilitation. It's about the ability to comply with standards. It's about improving the business environment or upgrading skills. We now, and that's a reason for satisfaction after 8 years on this Aid for Trade initiative, we now have a sound evidence base to say that Aid for Trade is making a difference. We are making progress. 275 case stories, a growing range of econometric studies and other research give me confidence that Aid for Trade is making this difference. But of course, our work is not done. Since 2005, the time it takes to export a 20-foot container from an LDC has fallen by 8 days. Great. But it still takes, on average, 33 days to export that container. And this is 14 days longer than other non-LDC developing economies. And if you are landlocked, you are looking at 42 days on average and costs that may be twice as high. So, progress, but still much to do to keep driving trade costs down. Let me give you an analogy. In the same way as your web browser is your window onto the internet, so trade facilitation is your window to the trading system. If your browser is slow, you're not connected. The same is true of customs and other border services. Hence the importance of the statement that will be released this morning in the first side event of the day, and of finding the path to an agreement on trade facilitation in Bali. Our joint publication highlights also that the financial crisis, unsurprisingly, is still casting a long shadow. Aid for trade flows are under pressure. There's no escaping this reality. The private sector is increasingly involved in capacity building efforts, both in collaboration with the public sector and with its own activities, and South-South partners are ramping up their activities. But flows are under pressure. So collectively, we need to keep making the case why Aid for Trade remains important, how it can help to connect the least connected, why it should be firmly part of the post-015 agenda. And I feel certain that this fourth global review will make this case. We will be focused on the challenge ahead, and I'm sure we will leave these 3 days also energized by the progress made. So, in closing, we need to have a sort of a 360-degree view, to see Aid for Trade in the context of foreign direct investment that is so important to connect countries to value chains. In summary, yes, Aid for Trade is making a difference, but it can make more of a difference if it tackles the factors needed to get the business and investment climate right. Just to connect the least connected. Thank you for your attention.